Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to have a closer look at all the builds that I've played in Season 4 so far, so I hope you're going to enjoy it, have fun. So I made the Heartseeker build, pushed the pitch to like tier 109 and stopped. I could have pushed more than that, but I wanted to test and try all the other classes, and I wanted to find and play different interesting builds. And unfortunately, all the builds that I made, almost all of them, are not like pit tier 100 viable because they are simply too weak. They don't have the numbers yet. And I hope Blizzard is going to change that at some point. So I made a Necro, played Minion a little bit, but Minion is quite strong and easy to build. And I personally find Minion quite boring. So I swapped to Blight, which is really cool. It's not as strong as Minion, but it's fun to play. And then I tried Blood builds, and they are pretty underwhelming in my opinion. They're not really strong, especially when it comes to single target damage. I mean, for Helltide farming, they're really cool, especially Blood Surge, but versus single target, like versus elites or versus, let's say, pit bosses, the damage is kind of terrible. And at last I tried a Decompose build with Moonrise and adaptability and going full basic ability damage. But unfortunately, Decompose is a channeled ability, and therefore the damage is applied quite slowly, and such an ability cannot keep up with like Heartseeker, for example, which hits twice and profits from attack speed a lot. So it simply cannot keep up with that, and in general all Necro basic abilities are kind of meh, and you can't really build a full build around them at the moment, which is kind of an oversight in my opinion that Blizzard should fix. Then I went to Barb. So what I was trying to do is stacking as much cooldown reduction as possible to reduce the cooldown of Rupture, and there's this nice unique sword in the game that reduces Rupture cooldown by quite the amount, especially if you manage to get a masterworking crit on it. So let me quickly show you that. So yeah, I have over 40% Rupture cooldown reduction on this one. And in total, I got it down to, almost 2 seconds. And this can go even higher if like my cooldown reduction rolls are not perfect. So yeah, I'm using Shaker on this one because it's really beneficial, because additional ranks for Rupture reduce the base cooldown, and the percentage cooldown reduction helps too. And the basic idea was like stacking a lot of strength and crit and cooldown reduction to get the most damage out of Rupture. And it's decent. You can run like 75 or 80 pits with that build. The only problem is, I mean, the clear speed is quite fast actually, but the boss DPS is basically not existent. It takes a long time to kill bosses. So that's why I squeezed in Moonrise and adaptability and went with Flay. So I have nice boss DPS that I can cash out with Rupture. So it's a bit of a hybrid mix. But it's not a full Rupture build, and I wish Blizzard could add something like, currently I have 2 stacks of Rupture because of the legendary aspect, and maybe they could pump it up to 3, or maybe give us more cooldown reduction, some ways to use the skill more often, and maybe give it more basic attack speed because it's really slow in its execution. And yeah, I'm using the self-heal upgrade here because the attack speed one wouldn't really do a lot. It would help out with Flay, but I personally like the self-heal because it makes you quite tanky. So with a little bit of love on Blizzard's side, maybe a full spam build could become a thing. And yes, I'm fully aware of that people usually use Grandfather and hit for bazillions of damage with like the crit damage double dipping stuff, but that's not what I was going for, and Grandfather is not that easy to come by in addition to that. So I wanted to focus on something that can spam Rupture all the time. And in addition to that, I also have this glyph that reduces your cooldowns when you spam shouts, so that helps with overcoming the 2 seconds cooldown. You can spam it quite comfortably, but the damage is not enough to get down bosses at the moment. So that is Barb. Next on the list is Druid. So I tried Tornado Druid a little bit, and some of the Earth builds, wasn't quite happy with them, though Tornado was pretty fun in Helltides. You can just turn off your head and just spam tornadoes and they kill everything for you. But I think the main attraction here is the Windshare build, of course. So I was experimenting with the build, and then I stumbled over this nice guide, I think made by Ace of Spades, I think is his name. Shout out to the guy here. Which I was playing for 2 days or so on this character right now, and gimping around in PvP a little bit with this character. And I mean, the damage is quite bonkers in PvP, and in PvE it's okay. So let's have a quick look at that. Loading. And here we go. So I'm using Tempest Roar, so I can use Grizzly Rage and with the Wolf aspect, so I can get 6 seconds of Unstoppable, which you wouldn't do in PvE, but in PvE it's basically a lifesaver sometimes. Anyways, the star of the show, of course, is the Calm Breeze aspect on Windshare, which adds it adds 13k poison damage over 4 seconds onto your ability, and it becomes part of the ability and therefore scales with Moonrise and all the other bonuses. And especially this, where did I put it? Where did it go? I think it's this one. Thunderstruck deals insane multiplicative damage, and it's not capped like every other legendary node on the Paragon board of this type. So that one is quite out of control, and that's what results in such high damage numbers that are high enough to farm higher level pits. But it's still, I think they shouldn't nerf it too much. I think it's a really cool build. Doesn't have that much AoE. You need to pierce enemies. You need to position yourself correctly. It's actually a really cool build to play. So I had a lot of fun with this one. Almost as much fun as I had with a Heartseeker Brogue build. So that one was pretty cool, and it's probably, of all the builds that I played, one of the most functional one right after Heartseeker. And last but not least, I played Zork, and I played with Incinerate quite a lot, which is now finally, after so many seasons and such a long time, basically after 1 year of waiting, the skill is finally usable. And I also played Frozen Orb with the Winterglass Amulet a little bit, but I didn't enjoy it that much because, in my humble opinion, I think the build does everything for you too much, and I want to do a little bit more myself, and everything is a little bit too automatic for my taste, but it's still a cool build. So I was also experimenting with Hydra, but the damage is not really satisfying in my opinion. It's not enough to confidently play it in higher pits. So I swapped to a very basic Arclash build and finished the last few levels to get to 100. But Arclash is also a little bit lackluster now, especially because it doesn't get a nice tempering affix like the other abilities do. They could have given it a range increase or something, but they didn't do that. So I think Zork is probably the most boring character for me, at least in this season, followed by Necro. Barb was kind of fun, and Druid was very fun, and I had the most fun with Heartseeker because it was such a new way of playing Rogue. And to my surprise, the build became quite popular actually. It's one of the best builds this season, and I didn't expect that, to be honest. Anyways, this is my small little resume of this season. So hope to see you guys soon. Bye bye.